Welcome back to the channel. If you've never been here before, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let's get right into this material. Justice for Sonya Massey. Say her name and don't forget her name. Sonya Massey. We all saw the horrible video. Sonya Massey standing there in her kitchen, removing a pot of boiling water from the stove and being shot in her face by a police officer who told her that he would shoot her in her face. And then he did shoot her in her face simply because she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." It gets no sicker than that. But let's talk about what has happened since, because he has been arrested. He has been charged. His own police department has pretty much disowned him in a sense that his superiors have said what he did, that's not a part of their protocol. Matter of fact, his bigger boss came out, did a public conference, and said they themselves failed. They failed Sonya Massey. They failed the city. They failed the police department and the profession. They failed. And his own track record came out of how many places he had worked, issues he had had before, his dishonorable discharge from the military, etc., etc. Now, the Illinois Sheriff Department charged deputy that was charged with fatally shooting Sonya Massey while responding to her 911 call, which she called them for help, and they came and shot her. This kind of makes us people, especially black people, when we have issues, we think, you know what, it's best we handle this ourselves, because this ain't the first time that we've had black people call the police for help only for the police to come and shoot the people who called for help. And it's always the same dynamic. It's always white police officers shooting black people who called them for help. This is not me making this up. You can go look it up. It has happened many times before. Sonya Massey is another time that it happened. She wasn't the first or the second time that this has happened. So, back to the beginning. The Illinois sheriff deputy who was charged with fatally shooting Sonya Massey while responding to her own call to them for help claimed that he fired his weapon on this unarmed woman in her home, in her nightgown, standing in her kitchen by her stove, because he feared for his life. He feared for his life, he said. Man, listen, we've been saying, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus" ever since y'all indoctrinated us into your religion, the way how you know that religion to be, and gave us your white Jesus. When they gave us the white Jesus, they also made it illegal for us to learn how to read. So we would literally see these Bibles around and we would not know how to read them until we started learning how to read and teaching each other how to read. But we held near and dear to that religion. For those of you who don't know how you got into the Western version of Christianity and hold your white Jesus so near and dear. So this whole "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," we've been doing this from hundreds of years ago, all throughout slavery. And it has never worked for us. Like, it has never harmed anybody for us. And I think you know that too. If "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus" was so powerful that you felt you needed to wage war against it, that "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus" would have saved us hundreds of years in slavery, because slavery would have ended every time we said "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." In other words, it was harmless. She harmlessly said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," in a low, hushed tone. And he raised his weapon and said, "You bet not. I'll shoot you in your fucking face." Now, in a narrative of the July 6th shooting that was filed with the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department, ex-deputy Sean Grayson said that Massey's statement, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," after she took a pot off the stove at his order was perceived as a threat to kill him. We are a Christian nation in the United States of America, even though our Constitution allows for everybody to practice whatever religion they feel free practicing. So you have those who are witches and warlocks and they practice Wiccan, and you have those who are Muslims and they pray to Allah and they read their religion is Islam, and you have Jews and you have Hindus and you have Krishna and you have all kinds of stuff here. But predominantly the United States of America is a Christian nation, right? Majority of people living here are Christians. And I'm sure that this deputy, Sean Grayson, had heard "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus" many times before, over. Why did he think that it was a threat to kill you? He claimed that he feared great bodily harm or death because she had a pot of boiling water, and he alleged that Sonya Massey threw it at him after he drew his gun. Oh my God. Anybody who let him slide on that lie right there is a wicked, wicked person. We all saw the video. That woman knew that he was purposely trying to escalate the situation. First of all, he sent her over to the stove to go take the water off the stove, and she complied, right? And as she turns her back to them because she trusted them, she turns around to see them scampering towards the door or moving farther back from her. She asks, "What are you guys doing?" in a hushed tone again. And they replied, "Moving out the way of your boiling water, your hot boiling water." And she says, "Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." In other words, she already knew that he was trying to generate a storyline that would say, we sent her to go take the water off the stove, and for some reason, she just started acting erratic, and the suspect moved in a threatening manner to throw the water at us, so we already took precautionary measures by moving back. She knew it. So she was like, where is all this coming from? But instead of saying that, she realized she was now trapped in her home with two uniformed police officers who had guns, and anything could turn out the way how they wanted to turn out. That's all that was. That woman was unarmed. She was unarmed, and she was completely not acting in any manner that would have any rational person thinking she was a threat. Previously released body camera footage showed this same officer drawing his gun after her comments, and then he was the one that took it 10 levels up by shouting at her that he would shoot her in the effing face. The sad part is, not only is it wrong to speak to somebody like that, because you are a public servant, a police officer, and you're supposed to protect and serve, and you are here threatening somebody to shoot them in the effing face when they are far away from you with a pot of water. Far away. If Sonya Massey threw that water, even if she did, hypothetically, that water would have hit everything else but him. And then you told her you're going to shoot her in her face, and then you shot her in her face. New details. Sangamon County authorities also confirmed that the deputies and dispatchers on duty, they didn't know Sonya Massey's prior interaction with authorities, or that her mother had told a 911 dispatcher the day before that her daughter was having a mental breakdown. The county's 911 director said in a statement that their system is not set up to link calls or create alerts about people. It doesn't matter. If she was having a mental breakdown or her mama was concerned and asked them to do a wellness check on my daughter, please, I think she's having a mental breakdown because she does suffer from bipolar disorder. It doesn't mean that you go over there and she's automatically a threat. Maybe she had just stopped calling her family and it wasn't like her, and this was a trigger sign for them. Every time she is off her medication, every time she stop talking to the family, they would say, okay, this is a marker point. Let's do a check on her, make sure she's okay, right? That's your job as a public servant, police officer. You don't go and kill somebody for no reason. Sonya Massey's death has prompted protests around the country and has renewed criticism of how the police respond to black communities and to people experiencing mental health issues. Let's be for real. It is how white police officers respond to black communities and to people experiencing mental health issues. White police officers. I've seen many times the same white police officers respond to white communities and they treat them as if those are their kin, their brother, their sister, their auntie, their uncle, their mom or their dad, their niece or their nephew, their spouse. They treat them with empathy. They treat them with dignity. They treat them with love. They treat them with so much patience. We sit here and watch the videos and we're like, okay, if that was a black person, he would have been shot 5 minutes ago. He's running after the police officer. The police officer is actually running away. He's chasing the police officer. The police officer is running around and around and around the vehicle while calling for backup, while telling him to stop, while doing everything he can to not use lethal force. So where is this patience when it comes to black people? If they can run away from somebody who's chasing them with a sword, then a pot of water, a woman in her home that's already many feet away from you, they could have simply backed up some more. They could have simply commanded her, put the pot down, and she would have put the pot down. Matter of fact, in Sonya Massey's situation, she clearly put the pot down. And she started to apologize because she realized she was in grave danger. But her apologies was not enough. She ducked behind the pot. Sonya Massey's death, yes, prompted a lot of protests. Nothing big like what I thought it would have prompted, which is another reason. And Grayson, who's 30 years old, is charged with first-degree murder and has pleaded not guilty. And his attorney, Daniel Fultz, has declined to comment to any news media houses at the moment. Now, the sheriff's office has said that Grayson's use of force was inappropriate and he unnecessarily escalated the situation, which is absolutely true. They are taking accountability there. When Deputy Grayson pointed his firearm at the deceased, she was not making any aggressive movements. She was only talking. And these are the words of the Sangamon County Sheriff's Chief Deputy Anthony Mayfield. He wrote that in a letter notifying a county board of Grayson's July 17th firing. Failure to communicate or use a less than lethal alternative led to the death of Miss Massey. You know why he failed to communicate? All his preconceived notions about black people came to the forefront of his mind. His prejudices came to the forefront of his mind. His dislike for black people came to the forefront of his mind. See, you can't be that type of person and do this kind of work. Grayson refused to answer questions during his department's internal investigation into his conduct following the shooting. His superiors also noted that and made 5 other policy violations on July 6th, including that he did not turn on his body camera until after the shooting, and he did not try to give her first aid. As a matter of fact, he kind of tried to talk the other officer out of giving her first aid, which is standard procedure. So now this former deputy who was responding to this 911 call from Miss Massey for help about a prowler, somebody being around her house. She thought there was an intruder, somebody was going to break in. She thought for sure, if anybody I can call, I'm a woman that lived by myself, if anybody I can call, for sure I know I can call the police. When they came, that's the first thing that woman said to them: don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. And you murdered her. An autopsy concluded that Sonya Massey, who was only 36 years old, died from a gunshot wound to her head after a bullet entered underneath her eye and went out the back of her neck. She was a mother of 2 teenagers. You know what? If this man thinks that I rebuke you in the name of Jesus is enough to shoot somebody in the face, it says a lot. And if he thinks that that is a valid excuse that should allow him to walk free, it says a whole lot more about how privileged he thinks he is. And who can blame him? He has seen it happen over the years many times. Police officers have done the same thing before and have gotten away with it. I felt threatened. Well, guess what? If you feel that threatened that easily, maybe you should not be a police officer. Maybe you need to take notes from police officers from other countries who deal with way higher levels of threat. Yet they do not go around shooting their citizens in the face. I'm just going to leave this one right here. This man said he feared for his life because she said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And he thought, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus meant I'm going to kill you. I'll catch y'all on another video, man. Hit that subscribe button as we follow this case, see where it ends up. Is he going to be convicted and sentenced to an appropriate amount of time? Or are they going to still treat him like a baby? Just give him a couple of years just so we, the public, could shut up and then let him out early. We got to keep following this to see where it goes. Stay tuned. It's Hot Topics TV. You already know if the topic is hot. We're on it. I'm out. Peace.